Welcome to Night Shadows. I'm Stuart Best, where the paranormal is normal, where that which you thought you knew, you didn't, and where the future can be known if you know exactly where to look.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for tuning in and listening. And we have an update with Larry on his mountaintop. Hi, Larry. How are you doing?
Hey, Stuart, just hanging in. How's it going?
Well, pretty good. We had a little better weather, I think, than you guys did down there. But, you know, if you get an hour of sun, you can consider you're fortunate, and there'll be another month before another hour will appear. It's really bizarre, weird weather. I wanted to start with this headline because of what's going on with Kimmy, the whiz kid, and Z there of China. Here's an interesting headline. Ahead of Trump-Kim summit, new activity reported at North Korean nuke reactor site. An experimental light water nuclear reactor is likely up and running at North Korea's major nuclear facility, according to recent satellite imagery. Meaning Kimmy has more ways to produce plutonium that can be used for nuclear weapons. What's your take on that with this visit?
Well, it's very interesting indeed. I don't know. We don't know what he's doing. He just got back from China, and they did confirm that, by the way. But we don't know what happened there. What do you think?
Well, I'm just wondering. There's a couple of scenarios that they're stalling for time, and China's announcement that he will meet and he will denuclearize might be a ploy, kind of like what Glasnost and Perestroika were with the Soviet Union breaking up, which really they didn't break up. If you follow their military exercises, most of those former so-called Russian allies over there are still under the arm of the Soviet of Putin's military. So this could be the same thing going on. This may be just a kind of a ploy. Now, we do have Dmitry Duduman, do we not, in his prophecies. We know that Chinese military has said war with the United States is inevitable. They are our biggest enemy. The United States is their biggest enemy. We know they're developing, they just came out, I guess, with, I think there's a little bit of collusion there with Russia, but they've come out with these new hypersonic cruise missiles and whatnot. And then if you look at North Korea's, how do I word this, rare earth metals, which China and Russia and high-tech need desperately. And they are loaded, I guess, with that kind of minerals and whatnot. So it would be behooving of China to stall for a little bit of time, get Kim ready, and hopefully no war does take place, but in the event it does, they would be more ready to attack, more ready with their high-tech weapons. What do you think? I mean, I don't know. I have to agree with you. We're just speculating.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting that yesterday, actually, China was basically saying they had no information that Kim Jong-un was in China. Of course, we find out today, we've got photographs all over the place. He was there with his wife and entourage, and I mean, it's a really big state deal in China. So China wasn't exactly accurate with that. However, China at the present time has naval war drills going on in the South China Sea. So
yes,
it's very interesting where this might go.
Well, we do know if we go to the bottom line of all this, we have our Psalm 2 war. Within that Psalm 2 war is obviously military action because we have Bible prophecy to prove it. So it's got to be a delay tactic, or it is possible that this is the cry for peace and safety. Peace, peace when there is no peace. And Trump does perform sort of a miracle. And you get into the Bible codes. Do you have those in front of you at all? About Kim?
Yeah.
Well, let's go over that again, because that would go along with what China announced, that Kim is ready to denuclearize and I guess peace, peace when there is no peace. So what were the words that were used in that? Do you remember?
Yeah, there was 7 words basically, or inferences in the Torah code on Kim surrenders nukes, ? And Barry Rothman's the one that ran it. It's number 1, Kim to surrender. Number 2, money. Number 3, Trump. Number 4, steel. Number 5, rocket. Number 6, nuke. Number 7, sanction.
Wow. Well, there's several ways you could read that. Number 1, we're going to give Kim some money to build up his, his infrastructure, which he doesn't have. If you look at a picture at night of South Korea and North Korea, South Korea is lit up like a Christmas tree. South Korea doesn't have any lights at all. So maybe that's part of the deal. Because Trump's involved, maybe he's offered to give them money as well. But that would be exactly what Kim has always wanted. He's a shakedown artist. Do you suppose they're falling for this again?
Well, I was thinking about that today, Stuart, and I was thinking, Kim takes his armored train all the way to Beijing, China, and they meet, and China doesn't let that information out until the very next day, which is today, actually. And then China says that Kim is ready to go to the South Korean and U.S. summit to talk peace and denuclearize. And I got to thinking, Stuart, and I'd like your opinion on this. I was thinking, well, who's going to confirm that the nukes are removed or disassembled or that he shuts down? And then I got to thinking, well, if it's China, we can figure that one out.
Yeah, and because of the way they do things, actually, China could supply North Korea with everything they need. And they could probably do it in 24 hours if they had to. They're right on the border anyway. So even if he did denuclearize and did stop his testing, in a lot of ways it wouldn't matter, because China is not involved in this, and China's military is accelerating their high technology. They're getting new carriers, they're getting new bombers, they've got these hypersonic weapons now, these evidently cruise missiles or whatever they call them. To me, I still think this is all a trap. And it seems kind of odd that in this Bible code we have steel, rocket, nuke, and sanction. I wonder what that steel is. Do you suppose he's made a deal to supply steel and ramp up our end of it? I know didn't he just sign a new contract with South Korea? Or no, Japan? Didn't he work out something with Japan just now?
I'm not sure of that, but, he does provide China and Russia, and I think 2 or 3 other places with steel. They like you said, they've got the rare metals and the rare earth that really the whole world needs, actually, for all the high-tech stuff.
Wow. And then there's another one here about, let me see if I can find it. There's so many articles. North Korea could resume nuclear tests after Trump's Bolton appointment, expert swarm. North Korea could resume blah, blah, blah after Donald Trump's appointment of National Security Advisor John Bolton. who is, what do you call Bolton? A war hawk, I guess, a hawk's hawk. And then we have another headline here, U.S. Senator ominously warning about Russia and China. We should stop the war drums beating. We're helpless. Obama's decimation of our U.S. military has paved the way for America's destruction, which is, of course, almost exactly what the prophecies against Babylon the Great are.
Yeah.
Anyway, what you got for other news?
Well,
there's a lot of news out there. But
they finally broke the news today that Obama gave our taxpayer monies to Soros to fund his left-wing radical movements all around the world.
Oh, really? That's something that has always bothered me, because Soros is still out walking around like Hillary and Billy. How come they're walking around? We have the evidence. We have enough proof they could be arrested and held and tried. And Soros is guilty of high treason. He's an American citizen. He's got dual citizenship. And what he's doing is, at the very least, sedition. But I think it goes well beyond sedition. I think it's high treason. And yet he's out walking around. Nobody's doing anything.
I was just going to say, Stuart, when you got an attorney general that we appear to have, and you've got a compromised Department of Justice and FBI who actually does the investigations and the prosecutions, when they're loyal to people like Soros and Obama and the Clintons, what are you going to do?
Well, I know what I would do if I was president, but I'm not president. The first day in office, I would have declared martial law, and they'd all be in prison right now, or I'd give them over to Kim. He could probably use some labor, for his prison camps. Because when you're dealing with the communists, when they say they want peace, what they mean is all non-communists are dead. And if you don't play the same way they play, then, and of course you always run the risk of becoming like them, but at the same time, you can't allow this kind of thing to be going on. Look at what's going on in Washington and what they're uncovering. And yet we hear, their Gitmo's going to be open, and boy, it's going to be loaded with all these people, and nothing ever happens. I don't believe it myself. I think this is all a stage play. I think it's theater. And I think the people, not only of the United States, but of the world, are just being duped as this Psalm 2 New World Order takes shape. And it's all just play. It looks like, they're going to do something, they're going to do something, they're going to do something, and really they never do anything. If they were really going to do something, there'd be an awful lot of people in Gitmo or elsewhere by now. And I just don't see it happening. Hopefully, they're trying to get enough evidence so that they can make all this stick. But I don't know. What do you think? I just think the march towards a new world order is going on like it always has. We've always had a one-party system with two heads, and I don't see why it would change all of a sudden. And I still believe that Trump is here for Israel and judgment against the American people. Now, how that's going to take place, I'm not sure yet. What do you think?
Well, there's, you know what I think of Washington, D.C. anyway. That's I've said all the years of my law enforcement, that I did for many years. Every time they come out with a new war on drugs, I said, well, I'll believe that when they round up everybody inside the Beltline. That's when I'll believe there's a war on drugs, because that's the ones making all the money off of the drugs.
Yes.
And, of course, nobody believed me when I said that, but it doesn't really matter. What I do think, though, is, they're trying to call for a second counsel to investigate the FBI and the DOJ and the Clintons, and it just completely appears that Jeff Sessions is not going to have that at all. He's now trying to get the Inspector General that's inspecting all of this other stuff. It'll take years to look into this new stuff, trying to get him involved when he can't even question Comey or McCabe or anybody that's left the FBI. He doesn't have the authority to. So it's like a dog chasing the ball down the streets of Washington, D.C., and they're just trying to wait and see who runs over the ball first or the dog first, It's absolutely it's absolute insanity. That's what we've got. And then when people say we don't have a Babylon, oh, my God.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, people just are in denial, particularly the American Christian. They just will not accept that America is Babylon the Great, and New York City is the great city Babylon. They just get irate, they get upset, they get mad, they tell you you're nuts. I put up a video on Angel Fall 923, Why America is Babylon. And over 15,000 people have watched it since we put it up. But there are all those who, no, America couldn't possibly be Babylon, and on and on and on they go. And they obviously never read the Bible, the parameters that God laid down, or they'd know who America was. So there is no excuse for it. And particularly now that all of the prophecies are coming down upon it, like being filled with aliens, that's part of the prophecies, that our borders are like a sieve. And it's the Lord himself who's bringing these people in for our downfall. So it's just a question of when. Moving on, how about what's going on over there in Israel? Are they trying to fix this Iron Dome that proved vulnerable to false alarms, or what are they doing? Have you heard any more about that? Hello? Huh. Okay. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, Stuart?
Yeah, can now. You got bounced out again.
Yeah, I got thrown out when I compared Washington, D.C. to Babylon, and there I went. It throwed me out.
Oh, well, one flew over the cuckoo's nest, but maybe there's a half a dozen of them that have flown over the cuckoo's nest. Yeah, that inside the Beltway is the insane asylum, and because they do not know who we are, and the Bible clearly, prophets say we don't, or the leaders do not recognize who we are. They lead the entire American people down the pathway of utter destruction. So when I see China offering peace or Russia and whatnot, I don't buy into any of that. I know what's coming. I just can't tell you when. But, we're going to get nailed, and we're going to get nailed really, really hard on account of it. So what is going on in Israel?
Well, as you well know, Benjamin Netanyahu had almost collapsed at a meeting and was rushed to the hospital there in Jerusalem, and they found that he had a viral respiratory infection of some kind. And, of course, you well know that America's literally been covered with this viral respiratory illness called flu-like disease, this mysterious disease that's taken everybody by storm. And now, Stuart, they're saying that America better get ready because we're fixing to have a second round of this same stuff hit America again. So I thought I'd dovetail that into Netanyahu. Now, he is out of the hospital now, but has that infection. And, of course, he came back to Israel apparently with that infection. I guess he got it over here, which, why not? Everybody else is, But a lot of trouble brewing in Israel and all around Israel. As a matter of fact, Deo had a headline that says, Syria has continued developing a nuclear program under the secret Assad regime, according to Arab press. So the Arabs are saying that even though Israel took out one side, and remember the other day I said and posted that they found another location by the Lebanon border that they thought was another underground secret facility, and matter of fact, it was right after that when they again bombed on the Lebanon and Syrian border with Israel. So we've got a lot of stuff building. And by the way, they had a breaking news report a while ago that Israel is pushing up burns or defense positions just this side of the Gaza border. I think they're expecting an attack.
Wow. Well, that has to blow up. Iran has to do something, or Israel and America have to take out Damascus. So it's just a question of when this triggers. And I sure hope that the people listening have, in fact, got at least 3 months' food supply on hand. Make sure you can do the water thing, because this thing could break out any time. The electricity can go out at any time. We can do our own EMP and then blame it on North Korea. All kinds of that kind of thing happen. It's like Assad doing all his chemical weapons. It's nuts. Why would he do that? I mean, he doesn't have to do that, but we would do it because we want Assad out. In fact, I can't remember who it was. Maybe you remember. He said there were 7 nations that they were going to topple. And they've toppled some of them already, and now they're going for regime change. But the Lord says, I'm gonna come in and go ahead.
I was just going to say, was that Brzezinski that said that?
I'm not sure. I can't remember. But it was somebody who was told. He was in, I think he was in defense maybe, but I can't remember who it was. And he was told, we're going to take out so many nations and regime change them. Well, the Lord makes mention of that when he's talking about Babylon. And he makes a comment, do you think those that you have spoiled are not going to spoil you? Kind of a question that people should be pondering, because those nations actually do spoil us, and it's not going to be fun. Well, you remember Dmitry Duduman and what he said was coming. So this is bad news, folks. We're walking into a big, big trap. What else we got here for news? There's so much news going on, and yet it's hard to find it all.
Well, they did show some photographs today on Fox indicating that construction on the wall has started, that they are building that wall, and they're in an uproar because he's going to use some of the military money and other parts of that omnibus to pay for it, like you mentioned on the last program.
Yeah, they said that he might do that. Well, now he's evidently going to. So maybe he trumped the others. But no, the Democrats are not going to be well pleased with that, are they?
Well, I don't think the Republicans are either.
Well, not the establishment, no. They're going to have to get rid of Trump, pure and simple. They don't have any choice. Here's that CDC warns of second wave of flu hitting the U.S. Now, you guys were chemtrailed again down there. I know you sent me a picture. Wow. What is that stuff? It appears to be alive.
I have no idea, but it's everywhere around us, and it is alive. As a matter of fact, when I go out and put poison out, it would actually begin to move, and it would all physically move to another location. It's really bizarre stuff.
Wow. So maybe this is all tied together. Atlanta, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a warning to parents that a second wave of flu is beginning to hit the United States, and the latest strain impacts small children more severely. Do you remember that prophecy about Obama that was issued way back in, let's see, when was that? 1912, I think. About,
is that the Kenyan what they call the Kenyan prophecy? Yes, the
Kenyan prophecy.
Yeah.
And that young children were going to be decimated and destroyed under. So, I don't know. Anyway, then there's another issue here from the World Health Organization has recorded a list of diseases that cause outbreaks and epidemics. among general populations and is warning about a mysterious disease X, which is caused by a virus that can cause worldwide pandemic in the near future. I wonder if all this is tied to the chemtrails and what's in them.
Well, it's funny, Stuart. This is what's interesting, is those first wave of heavy chemtrails that were just everywhere was when the flu outbreak began, the one we had recently. And then after that, you remember there was a break for about a week or so, and rumors were all over the Internet that Trump had stopped the chemtrails, and then suddenly they're back with a vengeance. And the last few days, we've been getting them heavy, and it rained last night, and I got all this crud all around. I mean, it seems to be tied to the chemtrails some way or other.
Wow. Earth changes. For 30 years, BYU geologists have searched for the volcano that produced thousands of cubic kilometers of pyroclastic flow on the Utah-Nevada border. Piecing together geological evidence from 5 different mountain ranges across hundreds of miles, they are now reporting the discovery of a massive 30-million-year-old supervolcano in Utah. You remember No Eyes and what she had to say about all that? That these old extinct volcanoes were all going to come alive, and even the ones that were now alive would just keep going, and that volcanoes were going to start forming where there had never been any volcanoes anywhere before that. So isn't it odd they're finding this out now?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Stuart, there's lots of reports coming up, and that sense posted a lot of it about volcanic activity, up and down the West Coast.
Yeah. Have you guys still getting your stuff down there?
Our earthquakes are still continuing daily almost. I mean, it's really, it's phenomenal. We have sometimes more than California does. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'll close down. We only got a couple of minutes. Report, governments increasingly using counterterrorism laws as a means to curb human rights. In other words, they just can label, what you said was could be construed as terrorist talk. And this goes in with what, I can't think of his name now, Carol Rosen and von Braun, where he said rogue terrorists would, along with the alien card, the arrival, would be the last card that the deep state, the industrial complex would play. So I think we're getting close to an arrival. And I got the impression that Stan Deo on the show we did with him was under the same impression. What do you think? I think we are awful close to an arrival.
Yeah, we seem to be, and Stan was really talking about the surge recently of UFO activity and the different phenomena. He said it's really increased all worldwide, actually. Yeah,
it's amazing, and everybody's programmed to accept them. That's the bad part. They're going to accept these things as aliens when, in fact, they're dimension jumpers. And they're fallen angels, but it's hard to convince people of that kind of thing. Any last comment before we close?
Oh, I would just basically they've got Jerusalem on high alert. We're going into the Easter holidays. Good Friday's coming up, and all of this, and over in Israel, they're really getting ready for trouble out of the Palestinians during this time.
Yeah. Well, get ready, folks. Stay ready. Heads up. Keep alert. Things are happening everywhere. And again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you Friday. Thank you. Night.